is about that ayah, that they know the book, but they don't know the book except their own wishful thoughts. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma said something very scary about that ayah. He was asked about that ayah, what does amani mean? And amani, in Lisan al-Arab, I checked this also, in Ibn Manzur's Lisan al-Arab, one of the meanings of amani is actually tilawa. Umniya actually comes in the meaning of recitation also. So, in that sense, they say actually mana bil kitab, or mana al kitab, meaning he read the book, from the same root origin. So Ibn Abbas looks at this meaning, which I translated as wishful thinking, and he finds more compelling to look at it as reading. They don't know their book at all, except for mindless reading. يَعْلَمُونَهُ حِفْظًا وَقِرَاءَةً بِلَا فَهْمٍ. They know it in only two ways. They recite some parts of it, they memorize some parts of it without understanding any of it. لَا يَدْرُونَ مَا فِيهَا. They don't have a clue what's in it. In other words, their relationship with their book became that of a ritual. When I first heard that, this must have been 15 years ago, the hair on my skin rose. Because I come from a part of the world, Southeast Asia, the subcontinent, where we are raised, so many of us are raised and we're told, if you read the entire Quran at least once with a Qari Sahib, who's going to just make you just kind of read the Arabic words, and you go through it, and you know a couple of surahs like قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدْ إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ, enough to get by in any prayer, your obligation to the Quran is done. You're set. I already finished it when I was like 10, bro. And there's a Quran finishing party. This kid finished Quran, which actually means he read the Arabic of it, one end to the other, and that's something to be celebrated. And then there's the next step of it, which is some more religious families in whom, and that's actually transpired here as well, so many expats and people from different parts of the world, I want my child to be a hafiz. Because if you want, we make dua to Allah, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. Well, dunya means med school, akhirah means hifz of Quran. If I have med school and hifz of Quran, my kid is set. This combination, you can't go wrong. And now the problem with that mentality is you have a huge population of young people that have memorized the entire Quran, and the vast majority of them have no concern for what it means, have no idea what it means, have never been told that the memorization was only supposed to be a means to a much larger end. Let me tell you, as a student of the Quran, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to memorize Quran. As a student of Quran. Why? Al-Quran yufassiru ba'duhu ba'da. Quran explains itself. You're reading something in Ali Imran, it reminds you of something in Baqarah because it's already in your heart. You didn't have to flip the pages to find it, it was already there. You're reading something in Surah Al-Shu'ara, it reminds you something from Surah Taha. And you connect the dots yourself because you're a hafiz. The purpose of memorization was so you could see how all of the book, أُحْكِمَتْ آيَاتُهُ ثُمَّ فُصِّلَتْ, how its ayat are tightened together, wound together, and then they're separated and explained. How it all comes together, and how these connections are constantly being formed. That was the purpose of the memorization of the Quran. The purpose of the memorization of the Quran was also that you stand in the middle of the night and recite, and enjoy the recitation, and just speak to Allah when you're reciting. You're reciting His words and you feel like He's talking to you. It wasn't about, perfecting your tajweed and sounding like the famous Qari, so you listen to his recitation over and over again so you can copy him when you lead Taraweeh. It wasn't about that. That was never the point. But we reduced our relationship with the book to a very artificial one. Even to the point, I personally, you don't have to agree with me at all, and I don't care if it sounds controversial, but this is the month of Quran, and if we don't say it like it is in this month, I don't know when we're going to say it. We say about children, or about even schools, this place we teach Quran. This place teaches Quran. It's a Quran school. That's not a Quran school, that's a memorization school. Quran is much more than memorization. Oh, we teach Quran here, which means we just teach the reading of Quran here. This is a Qaida Nuraniya school. This is a read the 30th Juz school. This is not a Quran school. Teaching Quran that's one little piece of teaching Quran. But teaching Quran means that you take people from basic reading to actually an internalization and a lifelong a journey of reflection. The whole thing. I'm not saying it's just understanding and not recitation. But to take a piece of it and then call that a Quran education and then turn around and say, my kid knows Quran. Really? Your kid knows Quran? Can I know what he knows? Can I hear what he just now recite something? And then you dare ask, what did that mean, child? What did you just recite? خُذُوهُ فَغُلُّوهُ ثُمَّ الْجَحِيمَ صَلُّوهُ. This kid is reciting beautifully. Grab him, throw him in hell, tie him in chains. And people are like, MashaAllah, oh. Subhanallah. The reciter and the listener have no idea what's going on. This is the tragedy of when you have amani, just reading. One of the meanings of this ayah, this is a crime committed with Tawrat by the Bani Israel. That they know their book with nothing but reading. That's it. That's all they know. لا يعلمون الكتاب إلا أماني وإنهم إلا يظنون. And above and beyond that, they do nothing but make assumptions. The other assumption that happens with that group of people, and then others also, and we'll see that in a second, is that they assume that because they fulfill these rituals, these ceremonies, that somehow they are the chosen people of God. Like these are the good people. They're better than everybody else, you know. And we create a culture in which we celebrate this kind of thing, and we give even. I think it's so unhealthy, especially for children. When children memorize Quran, it's something to be encouraged, something to be proud of. But at the same time, you don't turn those kids into trophies. And you don't say, oh, mashallah, 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 sit in the front. And you turn them into this, like, make them feel like they're some kind of Dalai Lama sacred thing. They're not. They're just kids. You're messing them up. You're creating a self-righteousness in their minds that doesn't exist. And so this is done by the masses of people among the Israelites. And some of that disease has made its way into this ummah. إِنَّمَا يَقْتَصِرُونَ عَلَى مَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah adds about that ayah. Their crime is that a lot of them don't even read the book. They're just happy that someone else is reciting it for them. So one, if they recite it, they have no idea what it means. Two, they love listening to recitation. And wallahi al-azim, listening to recitation is a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with listening to recitation. But if your relationship with the Quran, that's all it is, then you've got a very serious problem on your hands. Then you've reduced the book to amani. That was all of these things are supposed to be enforcement for the larger goal. How do you know what the goal of the Quran is? Let the Quran tell you itself. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِ. So you can understand, so you can think deeply, so you can ponder. So this is what it's supposed to do. زَادَتْهُمْ so it can increase your iman. You hear the word of Allah and it increases you in iman because there's a picture being painted that you hadn't thought about in a while. And Allah refreshes it in your mind. So this was the tragedy of the common people.